So, Doctor, do you feel that from your experience, as you know, this particular graduation, there is 162 MBA graduates passing out from APIT, and of course, most of them are in very senior management in different kinds of spheres of life. Uh, have you seen the kind of maturity that they need to demonstrate because you were there at the last time's research conference?
Yeah. No, I think I was really impressed by the kind of research that they had, churned and were speaking, and how it was um, very typical to the different industries in Sri Lanka, the various different industries. So I think that's very good work that they are doing. The only thing I would suggest is, rather than focusing too much on the past, it is about focusing on the present and the future. So looking at research as to how can we develop the future, rather than if something has happened in the past, you know, uh, picking up more of that data and researching around those past. So it's about looking into the future.
Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to yet another MBA Diary session. Today, we have a very interesting topic, why an MBA for your career growth. So to introduce our speaker for this evening, I'd like to welcome Dr. Rohan Pathukorila, the pioneer behind the MBA Diary series. Doctor, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. And we got a very special guest today, the course director of the MBA at the Staffordshire University. She has 16 years of post-qualification experience in various areas, including corporate and global banking with multinational brands, corporate banking finance with leading Indian company, and a management teaching. She has worked in different cities in India, managing portfolio for both local and global corporations, primarily a multinational company. So education background includes a BA honors in economics graduate from Delhi University, India, a master's in business administration from India, and a certificate on international business from the Indian Institute of Management, Kolkata in India. In 2011, she joined the Management Institute affiliated with the Mumbai University as an assistant professor, which sparked her interest to pursuing a PhD to prepare for the PhD journey she pursued, and on master's research in the management from the York Management School at University of York. The program helped her familiarize herself with research philosophies, research methods. After completing her total master's research, she continued her academic journey at the University of York by pursuing the PhD in management. During that time, she received a scholarship for overseas student and overseas continuation scholarship. Additionally, she holds a title of senior fellow of the UK Higher Education Academy, and also extensive experience in banking, finance, and management teaching, coupled with her academic achievements, reflects a well-rounded professional with a strong foundation of economics, business, and research. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest today, someone who is not just academic, but who has done exceptionally well in the corporate sector and has good business sense to lead a program like the MBA. She's the course director for the MBA, School of Justice, Security and Sustainability, Staffordshire University. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Bharati Singh. Doctor, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Rohanta. That was quite a glorious introduction. So, dear students, I understand these are new students, Dr. Rohanta?
MBA current students, Doctor, they are actually in the third semester, some of them.
So have I welcomed them before?
Oh, yes, they met you before.
All
And
right. Okay.
but I also told marketing, if there's any prospective students who are joining in this semester, they can
Right.
also join in.
Okay. So what I'm going to talk about is a little bit about Sri Lanka, its economy, how higher education is important, and what your MBA is all about, and hopefully, the way we have constructed the MBA, or we have prepared the MBA, or we have made the modules in a way so that you can contextualize with theories, because what is really required when you're there in the industry is how do you apply those theories, right? So, dear students, welcome to this session. As we are aware, Sri Lanka has faced severe economic downturn. Nonetheless, what we have seen is that the citizens of Ireland have shown remarkable resilience. Various reforms have been put in place, and there is a continued effort being made towards stabilizing the country. When I last, I had visited in March, the inflation was very, very high. And I was just seeing recent numbers. It has reduced considerably. I think it's almost down to 2% now, Dr. Ranta, inflation.
Yes, yes,
And
Dr. Bharati.
and even the kind of shortage of essential items that was there a few months ago, that those shortages have reduced, so while there is continued improvement, there has been some improvement, it will still take some time for the economy to recover fully. What the country requires is to be committed, a full commitment in continuing to bring in, though difficult, but the necessary reforms required towards an economic recovery. And it is not only, where the government, the central bank is talking about reforms, it's also about implementing the same, which is very, very important. Further, the government's ability to restore debt, sustainability, and how can it do it? By growing revenues, but also to continue to maintain its expenditure so that crucial public service are not affected, because it is so important. That is what really confirms the strength of a government. So not only providing crucial public services, but also to work, have that sustainable growth towards improving governance. And that is very, very important, dear students, in today's scenario in Sri Lanka. And governance which includes tax administration. The country further needs to build its external buffers by strong revenue accumulation, reserves accumulation, to strengthen its currency against the dollar, against the world currencies. So how can this happen? This can only happen if the country can continue to keep inflation down and keep prices of essential services stable. For example, electricity and fuel. And, this is something that I've shared earlier when I had come in March, that Sri Lanka was way, way ahead of its contemporaries. And by that, I mean, other emerging economies, its close neighbors, to adopt economic liberalization in the very late 70s. I come from India. And my country only embarked on the liberalization journey in 1992. So Sri Lanka was so much ahead of its contemporaries to have liberalized in 1970s. The country is known for its tourism, and the country needs to rebuild that sector. Slowly traction has already started building. When I was coming, the flight was absolutely overboarded. The hotels are full to capacity, but it is about continuing that traction, bringing people back to Sri Lanka, getting tourism back to Sri Lanka. Exports the country has also been strong in exports of food products, including processed food products. So there is an opportunity there in value addition through marine products, coconut, spices, etc. And tea. The country again needs to rediscover its niche tea segments. It has a 10% world share and should look at ways of how to increase that share. Then Sri Lanka has products like rubber, textiles, apparel. What can the country do? Sri Lanka can pursue regional value chains of Southeast Asia and South Asia in these products. There are possibilities for the country to look at free trade agreements when there is further stabilization of its economy. Foreign direct investments, that is another source which the country should look at, attracting foreign direct investments. And it is very, very important now, especially for its service sectors like banking, health, and of course, tourism. This will also further promote the exports from the island. Sri Lanka should also seek opportunities to in cross-border digital trade and use of digital technology, both in financial and business services. This will again help the country to expand its economy, increased economic expansion. As I've already mentioned before, inflation is under control, but the central bank needs to continue to restructure the country's external debts and consolidate its financials. Structural reforms are required across industries to support economic growth. Entrepreneurial activities and SMEs must be encouraged at this point. It is easy to blame others for the issues that you face, but dear students, the future is in your hands, and that is why the MBA is so important. And I'll quote John F. Kennedy, what he had said in his inaugural presidential speech. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And it holds so true today for Sri Lanka. The pearl in the Indian Ocean. What can you as professional MBA students do? Because the expectations from you is very, very high. And that is what the Staffordshire University MBA has been designed to do. It has been designed to accelerate your professional and personal development by equipping you with skills to tackle the ever dynamic global business world. It is continuously changing. And one of my favorite quotes is, change is most stable because change continues to happen. We can have some control over our internal environment, but we have no control over the external environment. So as professionals, and from whatever you're learning on the MBA, what is it that you can see in the external environment? What is it that you can anticipate? What is it that you can learn from past behaviors of the external environment? And try and create possibilities for the organizations that you are working with. So the MBA is basically there to develop your core competencies and support your management and professional ambitions. The platform or the foundation on which the MBA has been, built or prepared, or the course has been validated, is to develop 5 main core competencies for you. What are these competencies? It's strategic agility, it's organizational agility, customer focus, drive for results, and career ambition. Why? Because all paths to career advancement rely on prudent developments of these key competencies. Every single one of these MBA modules are mapped to one of the competencies. When you will write your dissertation, you are expected to write 1,500 words, or 15% of your dissertation is on a self-reflection. That self-reflection which you will write is all about how over your MBA journey you have developed these competencies. What have you learned, and how will you apply that in the future in the workplaces that you are in? All the modules that you're studying, all the assessments meet the quality assurance of UK Higher Education Academy, and they're approved and verified by strict guidelines. We have very, very high expectations of you, dear students. Not only you, staff, all of us, why? Because we together contribute towards this MBA journey. We are part of that journey that you're going through, right? Because we may have expertise, but another thing that I always tell my students, learning never stops. I may have expertise, but that doesn't mean I or any of your module tutors are the end all of knowledge. Knowledge is continually expanding, and you need to expand your own knowledge there, right? So what we do, the MBA journey is about sharing our experience, your experience, our experience, expertise. It's questions and answers. If you're not questioning in class, that means there's something wrong. You're not putting in your effort. You're not studying. At an MBA level, at a level 7, you are expected to question why, how, what. You should have that hunger for knowledge, for development, for success. And that's the reason why your MBA journey, everything, assessment, learning, all of it, the underpinning approach for the MBA is PPBL, which is practice, problem and practice-based learning. So for example, when I teach on the strategy module, I don't just go and say, okay, this is a Pestel, this is a Porter's 5, this is, the diamond module. I'm also asking, right, so Porter's 5, this is about competitive forces. So how does it affect your industry? What is it that we can learn from failures of certain industries? Because if you go into, if you think about it, go into a bookstore or you go online, people generally talk about success. For me, it is, why did a particular company fail in a particular market? What is it that they did not pick out? What is it that they did not apply from models that are there for them to apply? So looking at competitive forces, looking at a Porter's 5, how do we apply it? How do we learn from past mistakes? How do we learn from others' mistakes and see that we reduce them, or that we have plans in place? If something untoward were to happen, how do we manage that? Because as I said before, we cannot control everything. So in your journey, the learning activities are tailored to this approach. How? By engaging with authentic and challenging real problems that allows you to evolve your understanding, your analytical skills, facilitating development of key management and leadership competencies. All your teachers, Dr. Rohanta, Dr. Shiranaz Kani, all of them, they all have industry experience. Other than industry experience, they've published research expertise. So they're able to add value directly to the modules that they deliver. But they're also expected to challenge you out of your comfort zone. You cannot just sit and relax on the MBA. You're expected to be on the driver's seat. You're supposed to see and challenge them, ask questions. Tasks are supposed to be set to you. You're supposed to do pre-reading. Again, why? To develop yourself. Because without developing yourself, how will you build yourself, your company, your country, your economy? So this is your MBA. And it can only be good as willing as you are willing to make it. So we together are the co-producers of this MBA, of the Staffordshire University MBA. The underpinning, as I've said, is a problem practice-based learning. It is there to prepare you for more onerous management and leadership challenges, and more so required today, given the externalities of the Sri Lankan economy. So what's the challenge that's going to come next in your career? How can you build that? How can you get your company out of those challenges? The preparation is key to your individual career aspirations and hence your career advancement, your employability. By the time you graduate, you will have grasped skills you need to succeed as a leader, senior manager, or even entrepreneur, right? So, that is all I was here to talk about as to what this MBA is, what it is expected to do for you, and how you can help build Sri Lanka again. So that is all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bharati. Fantastic. I took some notes down myself on what needs to be kind of focused on. A few questions are coming up. The first question that has been said is, do you see that the way that a person is to be tested, does it have to change as and when the environment changes in a country?
So what we believe in is something called authentic assessment. Now, what is this authentic assessment? It is, so what generally happens, Dr. Honta, when you and I have grown up or we have taken exams, it's all about just cramming things and going and vomiting that out in a exam paper. When we talk about authentic assessments, it is bringing different kind of assessments. How do we assess our students? It's not only about an exam, but it is about an essay, an exam, a presentation, because what we are trying to build is leaders of tomorrow. And just by cramming theory will not make them understand the application of it. So I would say, yes, it's not only about changing the assessments. Sometimes assessments can stay. So, for example, if you look again at the strategy assessment, when it says, pick up an organization and think about a challenge, that is authentic because challenges are continuously changing. 3 years ago, Sri Lanka was not in this economic crisis. So a company or somebody working in a particular company, the challenge that they would have faced 3 years ago would be very different from the challenges that they are facing today. So hence, while the assessment is same, it is how you are writing or reflecting about the challenge in today's world, because the external environment is dynamic. It's continuously changing. So hence, looking at the challenge in a continuous changing environment is what is authentic in the assessment. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, Dr. Bharati, absolutely. So, Doctor, do you feel that from your experience, as you know, this particular graduation, there is 162 MBA graduates passing out from APIT, and of course, most of them are in very senior management in different kinds of spheres of life. Have you seen the kind of maturity that they need to demonstrate because you were there at the last time's research conference?
Yeah. No, I think I was really impressed by the kind of research that they had, churned and were speaking, and how it was very typical to the different industries in Sri Lanka, the various different industries. So I think that's very good work that they are doing. The only thing I would suggest is rather than focusing too much on the past, it is about focusing on the present and the future. So looking at research as to how can we develop the future rather than if something has happened in the past, picking up more of that data and researching around those past. So it's about looking into the future.
Actually, Dr. Bharati, it was very interesting, but I don't know whether you can remember, there was a research presentation done by digital nomads. And that particular student was invited by Sri Lanka Tourism to come and present it. And today, it has gone up to the national level where there is a visa which is to be issued only for digital nomads. So you saw the link between theory and practice in the real world to make Sri Lanka more competitive. So I think that's exactly what you're talking about. And this time's research conference, we are very carefully selecting the research topics where or whatever the research which is done can be used by either the private or the public sector for policy making or in their workplace. So this time when you come down, hopefully first quarter of 2024, Dr. Bharati, you will see the futuristic nature of research coming to play. Over.
I remember that. I remember there was some research papers that were presented around AI and BI and the digital workplace. And it was, I remember, okay, we're talking about digital workplace, but how the same applications can be made across sectors and industries, towards increased economic expansion, as I mentioned. Absolutely. I remember that very well.
Question coming up, Dr. Bharati. Is there a possibility for someone to do 1 year in Sri Lanka and do maybe 1 semester of work in UK and come back here and finish the research? Is that kind of possibility available?
I don't know about the work and how the work visas, happen. But of course, if say a student has studied 3 modules, because ours is not part-time, ours is full-time. If students want to come to the UK to study, they have to come on a full-time basis. And if a student has studied 3 modules there, a semester 1 module, they can come for 1 semester here and study 3 modules, and then they can go back to study on the dissertation in Sri Lanka. We actually encourage that. We've had students from British University, Vietnam, and we are continuously thinking as to why don't students from Sri Lanka come to us? And it's both ways, at least at the undergrad level, that should be done at quite a high, we need to speak as to how to increase that traction, but at the postgrad level also, absolutely, they can come and study a semester with us.
Any questions you all have? Actually, we were doing a class, Dr. Bharati, and we took a break to come and listen to you. Any questions that you all have? Please, you can put it on chat if you wish. So right now we are doing the finer prints on the assignments, Dr. Bharati, and the last class happens to be next week, and then they go for exams. They have one, like risk management and all, there's a final year exam, but others it's totally assignment based. So that's great. So Dr. Bharati, last question coming up, which is that we are told that there's going to be a new MBA that you all are going to launch in the future. And can we have a little bit more details about it so that we can share it with our friends who are going to start?
Is this about the 2040 credit MBA?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so we have already launched the 2040 credit MBA. Actually, some of the things that I had talked about. So we continue with, problem practice-based learning. That's something we have found is very, very successful. So that continues. On a 2040 credit, the dissertation remains the same. That remains at 60 credits. In Staffordshire, we do have specializations and pathways. But again, given that your candidates are all part-time students, we have selected specific modules that are more applicable to Sri Lanka rather than providing different pathways there. And the main 4 core modules are something that we realize that students must have those particular capabilities. So earlier when we used to have, say, finance as a core module, or marketing as a core module, what we have realized is that most students may not go towards finance or may not go towards marketing, but everybody requires leadership qualities. So hence we have a module called cross-cultural management and leadership. Then in any kind of specialization that you may be, in any kind of department that you may be, say in production, in marketing, in finance, risk can be there in any part of an organization. So hence we have kept risk towards a sustainable business as one of the core modules. Then having entrepreneurship and innovation. So again, entrepreneurship and innovation is not only to have your own business, right? It is not about innovating because you're a scientist. Innovation can be in a process. Innovation can be how you are making financial statements, how you're doing balance sheets. Innovation could be towards a marketing innovation. So what we stress on is in having an entrepreneurial mindset. And that entrepreneurial mindset is very, very important. And hence one of the core modules is about innovation and entrepreneurship. Again, Dr. Rhonda, you and I, we worked in the industry. When we go to our, say to our leader, to our, manager with a problem, manager expects you to also come with a solution. So when we go to manager with a problem, we also go with 3 solutions. Basically, what we want a manager to confirm to us, which one do you think is the best solution? We cannot go today and just say, oh, this is the problem. Oh, we are facing this. That means that you are not using your mind. And that is that entrepreneurial mindset you expected to have. And of course, the 4th core module will be strategy. You need strategy. Even like when you've come to study, it's because you think you're at point A and you want to get to that point B. And going from that point A to point B, in the words of Mintzberg, one of my favorite strategists, is to have a strategy in place. So hence, those are the 4 core modules. They're all 20 credit modules. And then, of course, there are some option modules that we have made available. And students can select as per their, their understanding, their expertise, and their interest.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bharati. It was absolutely fantastic. You gave a very good overview to Sri Lanka in terms of overall economic strategy, and then that coined it to the kind of skill set that is required by a Sri Lankan MBA student, and how the Staffordshire University MBA builds that kind of competencies that economy like us require. Ruth, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Bharati, for joining in again with us and for sharing your knowledge. I love that you how you connected the theory and the practical, the importance of not just knowing theory, but also making use of theory in the practical world. Loved it. I'm sure for the students who've logged in and any industry partners who have logged in, this would indeed be useful information. So as we draw to a close of this MBA Diary session, I'd like to remind all industry partners that at APIT, we have a strong internship program. And if you do have any openings, do send it our way. And for anybody who would like to pursue their further studies, do step in, call or email us for more details, because we have launched a series of new programs such as MSc in Marketing, MSc in Cybersecurity, and MSc in IT Management. So with this, I'd like to thank all students, all industry partners who joined in. And Yes, doctor?
There's a
Yeah,
question.
a question,
There's
right?
a question. Yeah, it says, sorry, Dr. Bharati, it says, anyway, we can do an MBA specialization via APIT now or in the near future.
That is for you to confirm, Dr. Rwanta.
The Staffordshire University's view, if you could just share, please.
So in Staffordshire University, we are providing now pathways, specialization. So there's a general pathway, then there is a human resource pathway, a finance pathway, and a marketing pathway. What happens in the pathways, other than the 4 core modules that I talked about, the student will not have option modules, but they will have to do compulsory marketing module, and then they will doing the dissertation in marketing, so that they have 100 credits in marketing, so that we can confirm that they will get an MBA with a marketing specialization. So that is what we have done here at Staffordshire University. Similarly, for finance, it will be 2 essential finance modules, and the dissertation will be in finance.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruth. Over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Bharati, as well. So let's wrap up. I'd like to thank our IT team for the technical support extended as always.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. Take care.
Thank you, Dr. Bharati.
UK.
Bye.
Take care.